Fair enough. Let's go ahead and introduce our next speaker. Am I audible? Can
Yes,
you all hear me?
Yes,
okay.
you are. Yes, you
great,
are.
great,
Yes, you
great,
are.
great, great. So I would like to go ahead and welcome our next speaker. Our next speaker, the name is quite long, but I like it. It's Dinakar Murthy. Sorry. It is a long name. Yeah. I was right. Dinakar Murthy Krishna. So let me go ahead and speak about our next speaker. He is a problem solver. Now that's great. So do we already have you in our Zoom so that I can go ahead and spotlight you?
Yeah, there I am.
Perfect. Can we go ahead and bring him on spotlight, Aniket?
Sure.
Because somehow the technical, yeah.
I just did that. I have added him to the spotlight.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so yes, you are a problem solver and execution excellence expert. Now, what else do we need? We have so many have already understood the solutions, but you will be actually now hitting the bull's eye by giving us solutions. So you are a corporate career of over 25 years of experience. Um, you have been internationally in Brazil and Germany, and you have marked your presence over there, definitely. Later, you have also founded Samutana for creating world-class companies and exceptional leaders, and invented a doHow methodology for inspirational persuasion. His assignments, Krishna's assignments have been for more than 15K manpowers in 7 years. So all in all, what I see, what we are getting next is a powerful talk or an explanation of how we can go ahead and directly hit the bullseye of resolving our problems. So the stage is all yours, Mr. Krishna. Go ahead and rock it. And please bless us with all the possible experience that you have gained in the last 25 years.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. First of all, Tasneem and Ankit, thanks a lot for introduction. And I would start by first thanking Kushal for giving me the opportunity to speak today. So thanks a lot, Kushal. Thank you so much. I'm going to be sharing my journey, my experience in terms of how would I achieve inspirational persuasion, because till now we listened to quite a few people who spoke about a lot of ways of doing things, a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts, and how would you really put it into practice? That's the biggest challenge which I had. And if I look at my value proposition, whatever I've been delivering to companies in the recent days, it has been mainly to ensure that their targets are met. That's all I do. And as the targets are getting met, it could be starting from sales to profitability, their competencies get developed on their own. That means till now, conventionally, we used to always have training programs done separately, whether it is on design thinking, creativity, or self-development, or meditation, or whatever it is. And with the assumption that if you do a training program, then naturally the person would be more competent, and through that the targets would be met. And that assumption I challenge, because in my professional career, we used to do a lot of training programs to our employees. And many a times that training program would not have any effect at all, And so my journey was my question, which I started asking myself, was how do we resolve this situation wherein we offer some kind of a solution, wherein the main objective would be to achieve a target. And as you are achieving the target, you learn and become better. That's the core value proposition which we offer. And this is something which is invented by me. By looking at various options, you've got design thinking, you've got something on TOC, something on lean manufacturing, something on blue ocean strategy. All these things I have compiled together and put up my own methodology. And this is what I call as doHow for inspirational persuasion. So with that, I'll take you on a journey. I have quite a few number of slides, but I'll complete it within the time allocated to me. So please bear with me. I am sure in case you have any questions or clarifications or suggestions, please do write to me. You see the email and my contact details at the bottom of each slide. Or you can also post it in YouTube, and I'll try to get back to you and reply. So first, let me start with the uh, basic understanding as to what uh, inspirational persuasion is all about. One side you got inspiration, the other side persuasion. So let me first start about inspiration. Inspiration has a lot to do with the brain. So I'll start first talking about my understanding of the brain, which is a humongous machine, a magnanimous magnitude machine with 100 billion neurons. And for you to just get an idea, each neuron would be something similar to a micro mini computer. And for us to get the magnitude of the brain, in 2019, in the entire world, there were about 2 billion servers, desktops, and laptops in the entire world. So our brain would be having 50 times the number of servers, desktops, and laptops in the world, all interconnected. That's the power. So there's no need to explain further. I think you got the message. It's really very, very extremely powerful. So when apart from the brain, the next thing which I call is the mind. There are two different aspects. One is the hardware. Brain is the hardware and mind is the software, is what I call it as. Brain, the hardware, then the software is the mind. Mind is something which is different, whereas the hardware is identical more or less with all of us as we are born. In the case of mind, when we are born as a baby, we would have about 2,500 synapses. Synapses are connections between the two neurons, and each connection means that there is some new learning happening. So 2,500 connections per neuron exist in a baby, and more or less the number of neurons are more or less the same from the baby till the death. The only thing that changes is the number of synapses. Every time we learn something, a new synapse is formed. And as an adult, there would be about 10,000 synapses per neuron, which totals to about 100 trillion synapses in the human body, which is for you to again get an idea of the magnitude. If you start counting one synapse every second, then we would need about 32 million years to complete counting all the synapses in our human body. Again, humongous, really something unimaginable in terms of both the hardware and the software. Of course, in terms of the mind, there is a subconscious mind and a conscious mind. Subconscious mind is the one that drives everything, whatever we do today. That's a core activity, a core topic which I'm going to be addressing later. Subconscious mind senses the reality in about 250 microseconds, which is really minuscule. And that's the reason why if you hypnotize somebody, they can remember every detail of whatever happened in their childhood, maybe 25, 30, 40 years back. Whereas the conscious mind takes about 100 to 500 milliseconds, which is again a different magnitude altogether. The last one, which is extremely important for us to understand, is that subconscious mind prepares all our actions, whatever we are doing, 500 milliseconds before it is done. I am speaking to you now extempore. I don't have any text with me. And whatever is happening naturally. And that preparing me to talk the particular word and for me to move the hand or whatever it is happening from my subconscious 500 milliseconds before I execute it. And 200 milliseconds before I do it, my conscious mind comes to know of that. So the only thing which I can do is stop it. I can't really change whatever I'm doing. So our entire lives are driven by the subconscious mind. That's something which is important to understand and take it as the information at this point. You can do research and find out on your own a lot of things. This particular phenomenon is called as readiness potential, if you're interested in learning a little more on that. Now, coming to the mind, how is it that we are learning is something which is important. One second, there is some, yeah, okay. Our brain captures all our experiences and their memories. Here I'm going to go a little fast so that you can get the idea as to what the mind is all about. Some memories are nice, some neutral, and some ugly. Based on these memories, our brain develops a unique framework or mindset, as we usually know. This is the mindset which I'm talking about. The color which gets painted onto our mind is the mindset. And originating from which predictions are done in real time by our subconscious mind. Our mindset, which drives these predictions, defines the way we are perceiving the reality in comparison with the predictions. Always, because that is something which is very important. Because of the predictions being done, we can perceive reality, we can think, we can speak, we can act, we can decide, we can do everything very, very quickly. Otherwise, it's not possible. Defines the way we are perceiving the reality in comparison with the predictions. Enables connecting the dots for thinking to establish the cause and effect. Directs deciding either by balancing the benefits and effort or just by going with the gut or intuition. And finally, drives acting and responding for survival, progeny, belonging, and evolving. Like these are the four drivers of any thing which happens in our mind: survival, progeny, belonging, and for evolving life. Therefore, mindset defines and drives the way we are perceiving, thinking, deciding, acting, or responding. Now, let us look at what culture is. Imagine that when we are talking about organizations and any activity to be done, there are multiple people involved. Each person would have his own mindset, because mindset is something based on personal experiences. So, therefore, as a team, there would be multiple people in a particular team, and teams are needed in work and life to achieve amazing outcomes. That I think is quite true. You're also quite clear on that. And in teams also, the same phenomenon occurs. Even teams share experiences in their emotions and memories, even with some memories being nice, some being neutral, and some being ugly, same as individual, to collectively develop a unique framework or mindset, which leads to collective team behaviors and predictions. If you remember, when you are in the team in your workplace, it's a different kind of a behavior you do, same person. When you're at home, it's a different thing. When you're with your friends, it's a different thing. You don't really choose anything. There is no concept of putting on or putting off a switch. It happens naturally, because that particular team has a different culture. Therefore, you start behaving differently. Now, with this basic idea of the mind and brain, now I say that for any inspiration to happen, we should first of all consider the background. And based on the background, we should really look at what can be done in the future. So subconscious is extremely important. We cannot allow the subconscious to be forgotten. Now, in terms of persuasion, in the case of an industry, the first most important thing is to look at a common understanding. When you talk about any company, the most important thing for persuading people to do a particular job, because each one come up with a different mindset, their perception is different. It is important to establish a common understanding of the interrelationships, networks, and causes and effects in an organization or in a team. Next, to do peer assessment. This is extremely important to do a peer assessment of all the necessary competence to establish a baseline. See, in our society, unfortunately, whatever be the reason, there is a tremendous amount of, what should I say, emphasis given on praising, on complimenting, on patting on your back. And even in the education system, till 10th standard, nobody is supposed to fail. So therefore, the true competence is only tested by the boss when you go to the company. And there, when the boss says that you have not done the job correctly, there's a tremendous amount of stress. I think a lot of people spoke about how to manage stress in the earlier sessions. So what I'm trying to say is, it's important before we really do any activity to get everybody to understand where do they stand. Normally, I do this activity of asking people to rate how good are they. And normally everybody start giving a score of 5 out of 5. If you see the stars here, then I say that who's the best in your life. And against that, you try to compare this person. Then it drops down to 1 or 1.5. And that is a true reality. And that is in Japanese called as Hansai. That is the core essence of Toyota production system. Unless you get the guy to understand his true height, he will never be interested in growing. And it's a very interesting philosophy. Hansai, self-reflection. That is very, very important. So this is to set a baseline. Once the baseline is set, the next one which is required is to talk about defining a common amazing outcome, and to do policy deployment on goals and performance indicators. Again, this is for persuasion, not for inspiration. Then define standard routines, daily, weekly, monthly tasks and activities and triggers. Again, no rocket science. Everybody has to do a lot of activities on a daily basis to be able to achieve a goal, amazing outcome, because outcomes in business are very, very complex. And the next most important thing is to review. Two things which are important for persuading in any business. One is reporting. The second is reviewing. Apart from initially establishing the common understanding, establishing the baseline, and whatever I explained earlier. Now, let us say if I were to persuade the entire organization, it's important to get top floor to shop floor in one room and start talking about getting people to first inspire, get them inspired, and after that persuade them. And that's what happens in doHow. That's the invention which I have done. Get our basic activities to get people to think differently for achieving amazing outcomes. Now, I spoke about inspiring persuasion. Inspiration comes from the brain, and persuasion is because you're basically pulling people through a lot of outside boundaries and systems, etc., etc., etc. Now, how does that really translate, and what is the basic secret here? The secret is imagination, collective imagination. In this slide, you see from the single cell organism to where we are today, Homo sapiens, the brain has evolved over time. It's not something which has happened just like that. So initially we had stimulus and response, always was there. Then came the management of involuntary functions, memory and cognition, subconscious imagination, conscious imagination, which started what you call as creativity for survival. Some earlier to me, Manoj spoke about creativity. Creativity existed already in our ancestors, The only difference we have got as human beings is collective imagination. Collective imagination, because together we can really frame a particular picture. What we are doing today as a WTO, World Transformation Day, together we are trying to do something, and that togetherness to do something together is the unique feature of a human being. And that's precisely what happens in our doHow game, where we talk about collective imagination of an amazing outcome, starting with people with different mindsets, and create a team mindset, which is a collective thinking. Then define an outcome, amazing outcome, then design how to execute that outcome, define the routines, and finally start celebrating the success. That has been the journey which I have designed and developed. Now, how is it done? The why and the basics you understood. How is it done? First is we do an assessment, and after that collate all information pertaining to that particular context, decompose that into small bits and pieces of information, small bits and pieces of information, and then define them into patterns. And these patterns are then abstracted as activities covering the three domains of learning, which is cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. And then alternatingly, individual tasks and collective tasks get generated in a web-based application, which is basically platform as a service. Anybody can use it, and that's that's the motivation which I have got. Each one of you who are interested in transforming somebody, organizations can use this methodology. And how does it work? Let me go to the little more in depth. First is any activity will always have an individual task and a collective task. In the individual task, a person is supposed to perform a task. In this case, tell a story looking at this picture. And imagine if suppose you are given that particular task. Somebody was speaking about us always wanting to survive. Whenever we are pushed against the wall, we come up with some kind of a magical solution. And that's precisely what happens here. If you're asked to tell a story, people have never spoken, never have they expressed themselves, because our society has continuously dampened us, dampened our creativity. Here, once the person starts telling a story, he can recognize himself that a lot of things can be done by himself to uh, achieve his amazing outcome. Similarly, the others who are listening to that also get to understand that. So the first is one individual activity happens. During that time, everybody sense and feel and laterally think for connections to the amazing outcome, whichever they have identified jointly, generate insights, whatever they could do within their own circle of influence. Not that I'm trying to tell that you have to do something or somebody else is to do something. It is for me to do something. Whatever I can do that. I identify that and note it down for reinforcement. This is what happens in any game. Then the collective task comes up. Then the same thing happens. Then again, individual task, it keeps alternating very, very quick. Every 2-3 minutes, the activity changes. And then how do we engage everybody? We separate, we group large groups of people. We have done up to 250 people in one go, and then divide them into smaller teams of 2, 3, or 4, and put them in round tables if it is a face-to-face session. If it is a web session, then I would create breakout rooms of 2, 3, or 4. Here we have done for more than 80 people in one go. So it's really fascinating because people like to express themselves, and as they're expressing, if they're learning, then it is really magical. Based on this, the game layout is this is the way the layout is done. Now I'll show you 2 examples first before I end. Then I'm at the end. First is we increase the sales of a company from 85% to 100% in 3 months. Okay, 85% target to 100% target in 3 months. A retail company, large Indian company, a large multinational Indian company, retail sales, FMCG product. And then there, what we did was gave the same thing, individual task and collective task. In this case, the individual task was to investigate the drivers as to why the sales rep is using the cause as authorized person not available in the stores to book the order, and there he would explain what he feels is the reason. And as he does that, there is a discussion, and that discussion creates some amount of ideas, and that ideas get crystallized, and that gets converted into an action. Immediately after that, there is a collective action, collective task, which is to chant 1, 2, 3, 4, and then do rock, and then you could possibly lift your hand or show the number or whatever it is, so that everybody getting the same action would get a point. So like that, they need to keep repeating. Whichever team gets maximum points wins. So this is a kind of an energizer for getting some kind of an energy into the team. Then again, an individual task which talks about feelings. Looking at this picture, he's one of the sales officers spoke about him wanting to eat this maize corn along with his retail shop owner, to make sure that he can bond himself much better, and based on that, to really do another collective task of finding out what way can the sales be increased if you do some kind of a bonding of that kind. and then talk about how are you deciding. These tasks are all handpicked, like I said. That is the wisdom which I have got. In the app, it is already pre-programmed, and a lot of such models available. This is for sales. Similar operation, similar one is available for customer on time in full delivery. In this case, we increase the delivery for a customer from 70% on time in full day. On time in full means, let us say if you give a place an order, you got 20 different items. In manufacturing, if each item has got a different supply chain, and that supply chain has to be manufactured, then it's not something which is easy at all. It's quite a complex algorithm, complex activity there. And there we increased from 70% on time in full delivery to 100% in 3 months. Now, here again, the individual tasks was on planning. How is the planning being done? And whether they're really using a particular metric, which is the right metric or not. You can simply keep on following a lot of metrics and KPIs in companies. Whether it is the right one or not, that is the next individual task. And the other one was to really look at, are they tuning their ERP so that you get the best result out of that. And collective tasks were to recap and insight and really find out what have I done. We have, many times in life I have seen 90% of the people only preach. Okay, preach and tell this is what you have to do. I can teach, but if I have to do it myself, then no, I take a back seat. This is basically to understand what have they really done. They could have preached somebody, but they have to do it. That is where the persuasion comes. Then talk about daily rhythms. Then talk about the stakeholders. What are the needs and how are you meeting the needs? So this is the way the game is built up, and I call it as a game because it really is quite exciting, quite energizing. People go on without any problem for 8 hours, 12 hours in a day. 250 people, 12 hours, fully excited, no problem at all, because you are constantly generating ideas, and every time you generate an idea, dopamine gets released, and dopamine means a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, so no problem at all. So with this, I basically come to the end of my presentation, and then I only want to share a small story before I end. Yesterday, I had 2 sessions with 2 clients. One a large aerospace industry client. They are into aerospace industry. They're a very large company, Indian company, supply to all the customers, and their single largest customer is Boeing, and they supply to Airbus, Boeing, and you name the aerospace company they supply. So that is one company which I spoke yesterday. We had a doHow. I call it as a doHow session. And the other one was another company which are the country's largest in terms of aluminum extrusions. They supply to all the building materials. Now, I'll start first, and then the other one is another FMCG company. So in all the 3 cases, the company which is into building materials, last year, I believe they had a massive problem because they could not meet the orders. They were not able to supply the demand. And then they had to work till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the night on the 31st to ensure that the year end is closed, at least to some extent where they could save their face. This year, they told me that, sir, this year we were very happy. We closed and went home at 5:30. We achieved the target. There's no problem. Went home at 5:30. And the guys are more confident. The FMCG company where we worked on the sales, those guys said this year, despite COVID, whatever problems we had, we have been able to meet our targets, sir. And that kind of a ability comes up only if you are really improving your competencies. And our main value addition, main differentiation is we don't really teach anything at all. I do everything practically. It's 100% hands-on. And my main objective is to achieve a target. When you are achieving a target, you learn the competencies. That's what we do. And if anybody is interested in using this technology, using this methodology which I have invented, it is a platform as a service model. It's available on the web app. You can just subscribe and use this methodology, and it's an Indian innovation. I'm proud to say that. Many times customers ask me, sir, is this made in Switzerland, made in Stanford University? I said, no, sir, it is not made anywhere. It's made by me in India. So you are most welcome to do that. Please write to me. My email is email is given at the bottom. Both marketing email you can write to me, and this is a website. You can get to know me better by visiting the website. With that, once again, I thank Mr. Kushal from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much, Mr. Kushalji. And also thanks a lot for the MCs and all the others who have helped me prepare this presentation and make a presentation here. Thank you so much, and have a nice day, and look forward to further transformation sessions. Thank you so much, and over to you, MCs.
Thank you so much. That was really informative, and hope our audiences, our transformational good souls, go ahead and make use of the information that you have shared with us. Yes, so Aniket, what's up? What do you feel about this presentation? What is
Well,
that one take that you have?
I have so many different takeaways from this session, because
Okay.
when there is a plethora of information being shared,
Mm-hmm.
how can you just have one takeaway? One thing that really struck a chord with me was assessment of a company done by employees when they join, and it's a game of perception. So true. Every time or whenever you join a company, you're looking at the company, you're looking at the people, the meeting room, everything through the lens of the new synapses that is being created whenever you're learning something new. So many things to learn from you, Dinakar. And
Wow.
from the audience as well, I saw that a couple of people have commented. One person said, very, very useful info, so much of depth, Dinakar. Good explanation about the structure of mind. So I would say your message
Absolutely.
is received, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank
Awesome.
you so much for your time. Yeah.
Very, very awesome.
So, Tasneem, shall we play a
Okay.
game?
Sure. Go ahead.
And this game is called Quote Off.
Okay.
Okay? Quote off is where I will say a quote, and then you
Uh-huh.
will say a quote, and then I will say a
Okay.
quote, and then something else happens. So,
Okay.
can we get
All
started?
set. All
All
set.
set? Okay, let me get started then. The quote that I want to say is, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but habit. And this was
Wow.
by Aristotle.
Awesome.
Over to
I
you.
have I have a quote. When we sing together, our heart starts to beat together.
Ooh.
we had a we had a relationship session, so that is still lingering on with me.
That's so nice. That's so nice. It's like when you have an amazing chai, even after a few hours, you still have that chai lingering on your tongue, just like that.
Absolutely,
Okay, the
absolutely,
next
no
quote
doubts.
from my side coming your way. This one
Hmm.
is a little bigger one. It
Okay.
says, your beliefs become your thoughts. Your
Hmm.
thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions becomes your habits. Your habits become your values, and your values define your destiny. This was by Mahatma Gandhi.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, just to back up that same information that you just shared with us, the beautiful quote by Mahatma Gandhi that you shared with us, I would sum it up for you by saying the individual is the collective. The
Uh-huh.
collective is the individual. So, whatever you gather as individuals, you become a collective whole country and then the world. And that is how transformation is going to affect us collectively, Ankit.
Super, super. Thank you so
So,
much.
you're
Yeah.
welcome. Now, before we call our next speaker, I just want to quickly ask my audience, have you all repeated your eye exercise that I taught you in the morning somewhere? This eye exercise take you off from the screen time, a quick 2020 rule, which we will do right now, right here, once again. What is the first exercise, if you remember? All you have to do is take your face away from the screen and blink your eyes continuously till I finish counting 20. So let's go ahead and do that. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. Again, the next 20-second exercise for your eyes, because we need to get off the screen, is you will be rotating your eyes clockwise 10 seconds and anti-clockwise 10 seconds. Again, away from the screen. Let's go for it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go anti. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The last one, but not the least. Look at something which is 20 feet away from you and just keep on staring at it for 20 seconds. And then we'll come back on the screen.
Okay.
Good job. Let's go for it. 20. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Superb. Thank you so much. So let's give some more energy to our eyes. Take both your hands, rub your hands, get that friction in your hands.
Okay.
Warm it up, warm it up, warm it up, warm it up, and then put it right on your eyelids. Just stay over there for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Roll it down your cheeks. Yay! We are again charged up for all our remaining speakers that we have lined up for you, just for you, and for your transformation. So go ahead, Aniket, sorry. Would you like to go ahead and introduce our next speaker?
Sure. Our